It's a 1993 Peterbilt 379. The truck started out as a big sleeper truck. It was a 63 stand-up truck, but the truck come out of California, and so there's no Bondo, there's no bodywork, there's nothing. We had this frame sandblasted, scuffed and sprayed. I mean, the frame is pristine on this truck, and I didn't want to cut it up. I didn't want to cut up a period correct pristine truck. So I pulled the big sleeper off, and I put this 36-inch bunk on it, and I put the 100-gallon fuel tanks on it to give it the long, stretched out look without cutting it up a bunch. It's got a 4 1/4 cat, a 15 and 358 rear ends. It's a factory 270-inch wheelbase truck. We had all the interior done King Ranch leather. So it's all 2-inch double stitch diamonds, King Ranch interior. It's I run the truck every day. I've probably put 130, 140,000 miles on it the past 2 years. Probably a little more than that, probably 150,000 2 years. Run the truck every day. We stay local, regional really. We're really never more than about 6 hours from home. So that makes it nice. If something ever was to happen, we can be close. But we do a lot of out and back stuff with it. I pull a 2014 Rettenauer Big Bubba every day. I'm hooked to the step deck right now so we can bring our stuff to the show and have a way to go back and forth to the room. So they're Talladega fiberglass fenders, and I had a buddy of mine out of Nashville. He come down to our shop, and everything on the truck except for what's on the step right here, that's sticker. We call that lick and stick. But everything else on the truck's hand painted. The name on the door, the name on the back of the bunk, Lucille, all the pinstripes on the deck plate, everything's all been hand painted. All the fenders are pinstriped, hand painted. I run all Roadwork stainless all over the truck. In my opinion, that's the best that you can get a hold of. Everything I run's Roadworks. Tim Snyder out of Adamsville, Tennessee. He's the one that done all my stitch work on the interior. He had like 240 hours just in stitches, trying to get it all laid out. And it's all laid out straight as it can. I was kind of a little concerned about that, to be honest with you, with all the diamonds not lining up, but they all line up, and it looks, in my opinion, it looks really nice. It all flows together. Rush and Nashville.
Rush Nashville.
I was shooting for an old school look. So my dad, he bought I was 12, 13, something like that, bought an 86 359. And it was gold with a brown roof cap and fenders. It was just a cool old school truck. And then a buddy of ours, JC Alt, he's got a 85 cab over that's like a cream and a brown stripes. And I love the old school browns and whites and tans and colors like that. And so I wanted to go old school with it. The pinstripes and the colors just kind of flowed for an old school look. And I wanted old school elegant. And that's how I ended up with my pinstripes and my brown interior. It was just kind of
This truck was blue, and I bought this truck up in Pennsylvania. It came out of California, and it was in Pennsylvania. And the guy sent me pictures of it and told me about it, and I went up and looked at it, and it was just a pile of shit. It was awful. It was blue, and it had a 63-inch stand-up bunk on it. The fenders were cracked on it.
There was a big gouge in the side of the bunk, like a forklift may have hit it or something.
And it was just awful, awful, awful. And I went up there, and the guy had a price on it, and I looked at the truck. My brother lived up there at the time, and so I flew up there, and I looked at the bunk. The bunk was in Pittsburgh, so we got off the airplane. I got off the airplane, and I stopped, looked at the bunk, and I said, if I buy the truck, I'll stop and buy the bunk, because he wanted a 36. And I tried to tell him, son, you're a large fella. You probably don't need a 36-inch bunk. Oh, they're cool. They're cool. I'd put a bigger bunk on it. Oh, no, that's the coolest thing ever. I looked at the truck, and I talked to the guy, and I said, man, we are too far apart on what you want for this truck. And he goes, well, make me an offer. And I said, man, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but this is not really what I'm looking for. And he said, well, make me an offer. So I offered him half of what he was asking for the truck. And he goes, and I said, that's what I'll give you for it. I won't give you a dime more for this truck. And I said, I hope you don't take it. And he goes, would you give me this? It was a couple $1,000s more. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm not going to give you that. I said, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to catch a plane back to Alabama tonight. And he said, well, pay me. And so I paid him. And now I'm thinking, and it had 10 Maypop tires on it. And I'm 1,000 miles or 700 miles from home. And I mean, the steer tires were slick as a cat's ass. And the drive tires were just as bad. And I said, oh, shoot. So anyway, I stopped in Pittsburgh and I bought the sleeper and I tied the sleeper on the back of the 63-inch bump. So we've got pictures of it strapped to the back of it. And I take off home and I get to Columbus, Ohio, and I'm tired. I've been up the night before. I get to Columbus, Ohio, and it's raining like can beat it. Well, the wipers quit working on it. Well, so I stop and I lay down in the truck, and I mean, it's a 30-year-old truck, and it's like the factory mattress in it, and all I have is I brought a little pillow. So I lay back down there I lay in there for a little bit, for about 10 minutes, and then all the creepy crawlies start, and I said, I can't leave in this damn truck, I got to go. So I went inside, I bought some Rain-X, and I Rain-X the windows, and I hauled butt, and I made it. And when you go to my house, you get off the interstate, and you got to go about 10 miles west, and then it's a real dark 2-lane highway. Well, I'm going home. It's about 4:30 in the morning and pitch black outside, and the headlights quit working. So anyway, I stopped and I reset the fuse. I got it home, and I call this truck the bleeding ulcer because it never stopped. Once we started building this truck, when we did one thing, we had to do 5 more. And it just never, ever stopped. But it never stopped. I mean, we wound up overhauling the motor. We went through the rear ends. We did everything to this truck, but I knew he was going to start driving it, and I wanted him to have a good, safe truck. And I told him, I said, well, do whatever you want to. And he said, well, I want to paint it white and brown. I said, son, that's going to look awful. That's awful. He said, just listen to me, Dad. Just listen to me. And
I could see it pictured in my head. I could see the truck finished, and this is what it played out to be like. But I can't draw a good stick figure to save my life, so I couldn't get it on the paper what it was going to be like.
And so I said, do what you want to do. I said, but white and brown's going to look like a skid mark, son. And he's like, just listen to me. So we do love the truck, but I've got a lot of mileage out of giving him a hard time about it, it being a skid mark truck or a bleeding ulcer or whatever. But the truck's name's Lucille, and once we put it to work, we hadn't had no trouble with it. I mean, he works it. I mean, outside of just maintenance issues or something like that. This truck is a solid mounted cab and sleeper. He doesn't have air ride on it. Well, since he started trucking, he turned 21. And that's all I've heard. Let's go to California. Let's go to California. Let's go to California. So it's a B model cab with no cruise control and a solid mounted cab. I said, fine. We took 2 loads to California in June. And we went out there and we come back at a pretty good pace. But
we were coming back across Arkansas, and he goes, you have got to be just dumb. And I said, what is that supposed to mean? He goes, you drove a B model with no cruise control and a solid mounted cab truck to California and back. And I said, oh, it's not too bad. But about 5 minutes before that, I reached back on my bed and I grabbed my pillow, and I was sitting on my pillow when we were coming across 40 across Arkansas, and he's telling me all this, and I said, oh, it's not too bad. My butt hurts so bad, but I wasn't gonna tell him that.